Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, in this episode I'm going to show you drama in black and white with the latest version of Tonality Pro. Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, my name is Serge Ramelli, I'm a French photographer living in the amazing, the incroyable city of Paris, France. And I make 2 tutorials per week. Click here if you want to get the raw file for this episode, and click here if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In last episode, I showed you my entire workflow for shooting urban photography. Check it out, it's one of my most complete episodes on that subject. This week, I want to talk to you about dramatic black and white. I have the honor of making 2 books, one on Paris and one on New York with black and white fine art photography. And for this, I've been using a plugin called Tonality Pro, and I want to show you why in this video. All right, to get the plugin for this week's tutorial, you have to go to News, MacFun, and click on Tonality Pro. That's what we're going to be using, Tonality Pro. But I advise you to get the entire creative package because you get 30%. And used the discount called Photo Serge so that you get 10% as a discount if you go through my website. So don't forget to use Photo Serge. And that's the plugin. It's a Mac only plugin, guys. I'm sorry for Windows users, but it's really cool. Let me show you how. Alright guys, so here is this week's tutorial. I'm right now working on a book on Paris and on New York, but right now I'm finishing Paris, which is black and white photography. It's for a very big editor, big coffee table books, and I want to show you how I process some of these photos. First of all, let's talk about shooting techniques. I shot this, if I press I, at 1.3 of a second at f.56 at ISO 100. The reason why I was at 5.6 is because cars were passing by, so I wanted to get not a too low an exposure and it was getting dark, and I didn't want to boost the ISO. So I was trying to shoot between the cars, which I finally managed to get. I exposed for the highlights here, see it's not completely burned out. So I showed this technique to you last week. Now, before I go into my favorite plugin on making black and white, which is Tonality Pro, I want to do a few things. I'm going to open up the shadows. That's the way I work. I like to keep my own workflow. I'm going to bring on some of the highlights. I'm going to do my black point and my white point. If you don't know what I'm doing, check out last week's episode. I don't want to bore you with the same information. Now, I'm not going to add any clarity because I want the photo to be very dramatic, but I don't want clarity everywhere, and I want to do that in that plugin because I find it's got a finer quality to it. Okay, next I'm gonna go to on about profiles correction, remove chromatic aberration, even though for black and white it's not very needed. And I'm gonna sharpen the photo, not so much because I like to leave Tonality Pro. So usually with Tonality Pro, I only do about 50% of sharpening. Okay, and that's about it. It's not much here. Oh yeah, one more thing, it's crooked, so I'm gonna go into upright. I'm gonna make it straight. Okay, and maybe I'm gonna make it straight a bit more like this, and maybe cut out the sidewalk, which I think is not very nice, and make it a bit more panoramic, something like this. Okay, now I'm ready to make the drama in Tonality Pro. So I'm gonna right click, edit, Tonality Pro, and edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments so that all we've done so far will be taken into account. And I've literally processed dozens and dozens of photos using that plugin. It's really become my favorite plugin for black and white. And you will see why in a minute. Because it's the only plugin that really works like with layers. And I find this really handy. So the first thing that I usually do when I'm into Tonality Pro is I do like the overall retouching. So I'm gonna do a little bit of a smart contrast, which I like their smart contrast, which is an option that you only have in Tonality Pro. You don't have it in other software. Okay, then I'm gonna open up my shadows because I find it's a bit dark, and I'm still gonna bring back my black to make it dramatic and play around with my white a little bit, not so much. Something like this. At any point, if you want to see the before and after, you can click here. That's the before and after. Okay, and I'm just doing like general settings, like clarity and structure and microstructure, which are very powerful. I'm not gonna use as an overall thing. So I'm into layers, and this layer 01, I'm gonna call layer 0, I'm gonna call it basics, okay? And now I'm gonna create a new layer, and this one I'm gonna call it HDR. The reason I call it HDR is that they have presets here. If you click here, they have different presets: basics, architecture, vintage, blah blah blah, and they have HDR. Now they have different types of HDR, and if you use them as such, it's way too strong. HDR balance, for example, way too strong. HDR classic, HDR cold silver, HDR with a hint of color, etc., etc. But check this out. If you take HDR balance, and here you have a slider. You have the slider here, but you have a slider here. It's the same slider, and what it does is that it just puts down that overall effect. You know, so the HDR balance is a preset with a whole bunch of clarity, structure, and microstructure. Okay. Now this overall preset, I'm gonna turn it down. I'm not gonna use it a lot. I'm just gonna use it a little bit, like 29%. But even that, I'm not gonna use it on the overall photo, and that's what I love, because if I click here on this brush, the effect goes away. And so first I'm gonna put the softness at 100%, the size of the brush a little bit smaller, and the opacity about 20%. So I'm brushing 20% of 20. And as I'm gonna start to brush, the effect disappears. And it's only on my brush. So I'm brushing a little bit of HDR look, but very little bit, like 20% of 20%. I'm gonna do it here a little bit on the sky, just to make things pop a little bit, you know? Check this out, before, after, before, after. And if you think it's too strong, you can even lower it. Okay, that's what I do. Now I'm gonna make my drama. I like to make my dodge and burn. I could do it in Lightroom, but I like to do it here because when I want to come out of with Tonality Pro, I want a photo that's ready to be printed. So I'm gonna click here on plus, and on layer 2, on this one, I'm gonna do the dodge and burn. I'm first gonna do my blacks. All right, which is basically burning, making things darker. So what I do is the same technique. I'm gonna lower the overall exposure of the photo a lot, and then I'm gonna take a gradient, and as I do the gradient only applies, what I'm doing here only applies on that gradient. It creates a mask. So I'm creating a gradient here. So I could do this in Lightroom, but I just love the feeling because, you know, you could add in the same time some structure or microstructure if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that here for that photo, but I'm going to add one gradient here. I'm going to click apply. Okay, I'm going to click again on gradient, and this time I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to put it here. So I've got two gradients. I'm like basically closing my photo. I'm making this is darker. Okay, if you see, if I make this darker, it only makes this darker here and there. Okay, it sort of closes the photo. It's like my own vignetting that I do. I don't like to have vignette effects like all over. Okay, so that's pretty much good. So I'm going to click apply. So check it out, before that layer, after. So I'm making the top and the bottom darker. Okay, now I'm going to make the dodge, the bright. So I call it white. I make a new layer that I'm going to call white. All right, and I like to work with layers because it's just very easy for me to organize with layers, because I know if my black is too strong, I can just turn it down this one. You know, I don't have to go back. I just find it more handy. I just love what they did with layers. Okay, so white, and this one I'm gonna boost the exposure everywhere very strongly, and then I'm gonna take a brush and I'm gonna bring it back just here. Okay, maybe boost a little bit the opacity so that it does something more. I want to make this brighter here so that like the light is casting a little bit more on the floor. Something like this. Check this out. Before, after, before, after. And of course, if it's too strong, I can just decide how much I do it here. So let me show you the before and after now. Before, after. I just added drama. And it's really, I mean, I did my entire book using this plugin. This is really why I recommend it, because it's really good. It's very, very good. So you can even go back. You can see that's the white layer. That's the black layer. That's the HDR layer. Look how the HDR just added a bit more, you know, drama just at some point where I painted. And that's the basic layer. And if you want to see everything, you just click here. And once you're happy with it, well, you just click apply. All right, now, and that's basically it. That's how I've been doing my book, and I really recommend you use that plugin because it's going to take your black and white photography to the next level. Back to me. All right, guys, if you like this episode, please share it on Google+, Facebook, everywhere. Put it on a t-shirt, walk in the street, and with the episode number, whatever you want, help me promote this episode. And also, if you have any ideas of tutorials you want me to do, just leave a comment in the section. I'll look at every comment. I try to answer them all, and it inspires me to share other stuff with you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in another episode.